Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl Kathleen, aka Kasserine, aka Sorin, and welcome to Sorin's Soapbox. Yes. Here on Sorin's Soapbox is where we rant about all things love, life, and the pursuit of music. Get into it. So we are now on episode 7, I believe. So, last episode, we talked about living my life like I'm Haitian, the ugly. And today is part 2, where we are going to talk about the bad. But first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for all their love and support for listening to the last episode. Thank you for all the DMs and the tweets for those who listen to the episode. I always appreciate anyone who reaches out to me about my episode or anyone who shares my podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. That means a lot to me because, again, as a small content creator who's just starting out and getting her feet wet, any like, share, or comment really mean a lot to me. So I'm always thankful. And I know I say it on each episode, but I really do appreciate the support because I don't know if a lot of content creators talk about how scary it is to make that leap, but this was definitely a leap of faith for me. So seeing the support is very comforting for me. So I'm always thankful, always appreciative. So before we get into today's episode, I kind of just want to recap the past, I guess, 2 weeks since the last episode. This past 2 weeks, I should say, has been quite interesting for me if I'm being honest and I'm being transparent. It's been an emotional roller coaster for me. I've been feeling tired, exhausted. I won't say necessarily burnt out, but I think for me, the combination of where I'm located, I'm pretty isolated. I'm the only foreigner. I don't live near a major city here in Korea. So I don't have friends that I can connect with and meet with on a regular basis. And I'll talk about it more when I actually do a making friends and having friends in Korea episode. But for the most part, I go to work and then I come home and I spend most of my time to myself. And I think in the past 2 years, I've kind of gone through the motions, especially since COVID, we've kind of had to stick to ourselves and be isolated and operate in small gatherings. Whereas for me as a foreigner, that small gathering has basically been me. And I think since school started, I think that's really starting to take a toll on me, if I'm being honest, in the sense that, I realize I don't fit in with my coworkers. And so that's kind of like okay, that's just what it's going to be. And I don't really have a friend group where I live. And so if I deal with daily stresses at work, I don't necessarily have an outlet to release those stresses outside of I could find things to do, but for some people they like to meet up with their friends for coffee or for dinner and have a conversation. I think what's essentially is happening is that I've become my own echo chamber when it comes to dealing with my own stress and anxieties, and that can be a bit overwhelming if I'm honest. So last week was a pretty emotional week for me. That weekend I had to really push through because I had a really big fun event that I planned. As I talked about in my dating episode, I'm really trying to push myself to do solo events or essentially push myself outside of my comfort zone. So I decided I would, do different events. So I came across a company where they do basically group tours around Korea. So they had an event where they were going to do a hot air balloon and then they take you on a tour around a ceramic pottery village or ceramic village. You also would make makgeolli, which is a Korean traditional rice wine, and then you make your own pottery as well. All for the price of like 69,000 wons, which is like the equivalent of like $65. And I was like, yo, this sounds legit. Like, this sounds like a nice day of a trip. And I had invited 2 people that I was kind of cool with, and both of them ended up having plans on that day. And I was like, you know what? YOLO, I'm gonna go by myself. And I ended up having a really great time. Like, a great time. I mean, my guest house was kind of terrible, but overall, I had a great time. I was a little nervous because, again, I went by myself and it was a group of people. And I'm always a little awkward and shy around new people, but naturally, like, I ended up finding people that I kind of clicked with, and we ended up like exchanging information that we can hopefully like meet up again. But I had a really great time. It was so much fun. Like, we had karaoke on the bus. We were singing Backstreet Boys and Mario. I had a lot of fun. And it reminded me of why I came to Korea in the first place. Because I think I kind of forgot why I came. You know, again, COVID kind of snatched away all the fun that I wanted to experience in Korea, as far as like exploring different cities, taking different classes. Like, I wanted to come here and take dance classes. I wanted to just do a bunch of different things, but COVID kind of put a halt to all of those things. And I've kind of regressed and become a hermit, so to speak. And I know that's not necessarily me by myself. I feel like that's been a collective thing around the world. But I think for me, it's been really hard because living in a new country where I don't speak the language fluently yet, but I think being isolated, not only like with COVID, but also physically as far as like location, because again, I don't live directly in a city. I live pretty remotely. Like, I live in a rural area. I think all of that makes things hard. And experiencing that day, it was like a wake-up call, like, this is why I came to Korea. And so that's kind of shifted my perspective on thinking about what my plans are for next year, as far as like, do I want to continue staying at the school and the area that I am now? Because I love my school, I love my students, I love everything that I'm doing right now, even my apartment. But it's really got me thinking about shifting gears. So that's kind of just been my week. Like, I kind of just wanted to do a recap of like what kind of, I guess 2 weeks, because obviously I do these bi-weekly, but kind of like the 2 weeks that I've had. I've just had a really rough 2 weeks. And unfortunately, I can't say that I've been a good friend in reaching out to people. I think it's just because I know if I like talk to anyone about it, I'll just have like a breakdown and just start crying, and then I can't stop. I'm going to just be transparent and be honest, because that's what I want this podcast to be about, is that I know that if I talk about it in length and in depth, that I'm going to just be completely emotional and just have a breakdown. And I think what's been pulling me through, especially the second week, this week I've been a little bit better. What's been pulling me through, honestly, shout out to Maverick City. Maverick City has been pulling me through this entire week. One of my favorite songs from them is Gyra, but I discovered a lot of their other songs, like Wait on the Lord and Promises, and some of their other songs. And it just started playing on like my YouTube. Like, Gyra came up, of course, and then some of their other songs through auto play just popped up. And I've been playing them throughout the week. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I think that's probably helped shifted my mood and my mental as far as dealing with everything. Because my situation hasn't physically changed, but my perspective and my mental has changed. And my spiritual view of things have changed. And I mean, Maverick City will probably never hear this episode, but honestly, shout out to them, because their songs really have an anointing on it, and it really helped me to get through this week. So if you're into gospel music, if you need a little bit of encouragement, if you love Maverick City, I would play it this week, because that's what this podcast is about: love, life, and the pursuit of music. As far as my recommendation for music this week, I recommend pulling up Maverick City on YouTube or pulling them up on whatever music app you use and pop in some Maverick City because they really helped me get through this week, surprisingly enough. So, I know I usually talk about whatever topics are on my mind, but I also want to give you guys like what my week looks like, whether mentally or emotionally, spiritually, anything like that. So that's kind of like what the past 2 weeks have looked like for me. Other than that, things have been pretty, low key. Oh, Korea is officially opened up. We've kind of been on not necessarily lockdown, but we've had like restrictions on how many people have gathered. And by the time this episode comes out, there's no more restrictions, so everybody can be with everybody. We now have no more curfews because the last time we had curfew was like 9 p.m., then it went to 10 p.m., it went back to 9 p.m. It was like basically a ping pong back and forth between 9 and 10 p.m. Then I think 2 weeks ago it was at midnight, and now they've completely gotten rid of the entire curfew. So restaurants, bars, cafes, gyms, everything can now be open. If they were open 24 hours before COVID, they can go back to that. If they were open till 5 a.m., which a lot of places, especially in like Seoul and Incheon in the major cities, they would be open till like 5 a.m. That is now back in business. So if you were looking to have a hot girl summer, a hot boy summer in Korea, we outside. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna take advantage of that. I've been following the rules to a T since I got here, but now your girl's about to be outside. I'm still gonna wear my mask because that's still mandated, like especially wearing mask indoors. They're considering getting rid of mask outdoors, but as far as indoors, I feel like that's here to stay. And for Korea, that's pretty normal. I know other countries are like in, cahoots about it and have a problem. But Korea, wearing a mask is pretty normal and pretty natural. Most people, if they're sick or they have the flu or they have a weakened immune system, it was normal to see people wear masks. Or there's yellow dust here that they say it comes in from China around this season. So you'll see people wear masks often. So it's not uncommon to see masks here in Korea, but I think just obviously because of COVID, it's now been ramped up. And so I feel like that's probably going to be here to stay for a while. But I did hear that they're looking to get rid of it, at least outdoors. Like if you're outside, they're planning to kind of let that go. But if you're indoors, that's probably going to be around for a while. Anyways, just kind of wanted to give you guys an update and kind of tell you like what's going on with me specifically. And now we are going to get into the episode. But of course, before we do, here are your church announcements. If you are not already, please follow me on all social media platforms. That is Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My handle is Shameless Listo on all of those platforms. That is ShamelizZto on all the platforms. Please come follow me. Come and talk to me. Chat. Comment. Like. Just let me know what you think of today's episode or any other episodes. Especially on my Instagram. I actually just went live this week about a video that I came across. I did a mini soapbox rant. And so I think I'll probably be doing those every once in a while, probably not too often, but every once in a while, if I see something like some current event that I feel like I want to get on my soapbox about, I'll probably like jump on a live on the weekends in between like episodes and do that. I had a lot of fun doing that. So definitely follow me on Instagram and so that you can catch those. Now that we have our church announcements out of the way, let's get into today's episode. So, as you already know, we are doing a series called Living My Life Like I'm Haitian. Yes, I'm going to sing it every time, even if I can't sing. So, our last episode was about the ugly side of living life as a Haitian. Today, we are going to talk about the bad. Not necessarily, some of these things could be considered ugly. I didn't think they were the same level. You can be the judge of whether you think they're ugly or whether you think they're bad. And again, there may be some crossover between African American and other cultures because there are probably going to be some similarities. But this is just, again, from my perspective as growing up Haitian. This is just, again, from me. Some people may disagree, some people may agree. This is just my opinion. I don't want any Haitian people coming for me saying, oh, you're talking bad about Haitians. No, I just think it's realistic to know that in all races, there are things that are great about certain cultures, there are things that are bad about certain cultures, and there are things that are ugly about certain cultures. And as I said in the last episode, I would never change anything about being Haitian. I love being Haitian. I love being a Haitian woman. Wouldn't change it for the world. So I just want to preface that so no one thinks that I'm bad mouthing or I hate being Haitian or anything like that. I just think it would be a disservice to wear rose-colored glasses when it comes to anything in life. Whether, me living in Korea, me being Haitian, or the kind of music that I like, being a K-pop fan, like, I'm always going to be realistic about the good, bad, and ugly of anything that I enjoy or anything that I'm a part of. Just want to get that out the way. Okay, in terms of, like, the bad, I think for me, it all started when I was a kid. Now you see social media, and for me at least, I follow a lot of like Haitian comedians, Haitian singers and groups, and like Haitian pages, especially like on Instagram. So there's like a really good influx of Haitian entertainers and content creators that are coming up. But I remember growing up in the 90s as a 90s kid. Shout out to all my 90s kids, all my 90s babies. It was not a thing. Growing up in the 90s and people hearing you were Haitian, child, like, I grew up specifically in the suburbs, so I grew up mostly around Wahite people. And I remember when they heard I was Haitian, this came from like the Wahite people and the black kids. They used to call me Haitian booty scratcher. Like for the Africans, they got African booty scratcher. I got Haitian booty scratcher. That was one of the main names. Like, I just got teased really bad, for being Haitian. Or if I brought my food around, they would be like, ew, why your food stink? Or why, like, what is that? Just like that disdain or disgust about my food. Whereas now, I think a couple of years back, I saw a BuzzFeed video when like BuzzFeed was like really, really popping and you would see BuzzFeed everywhere on Facebook. I saw like it was American people trying Haitian food and they were like, oh, this food is good. And I was like, oh, back then y'all didn't want me. Now I'm hot, y'all all on me. Sakgila. All of a sudden, you want our Haitian food? You want our G Jonjon? You want our griot? You want our pickles? You want our banan? What is this? So I just remember a time where they used to look at our food with disgust. Even when I was a kid, again, I grew up around Wahite kids, so the girls had like the straight hair and things like that. When I was in the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, I was still, natural. So I was wearing the barrettes and the bows and I don't even know what they call it in English. We call them the bullets, like the big balls. I was wearing them. I had like, that's how my hair was from the time I was a kid up until halfway through 6th grade. I didn't get my first perm or relaxer till I turned 12 or 13. So again, I used to get ridiculed about my hair because the kids didn't understand, like, why do you have all these colorful, because my mom used to color coordinate by barrettes and bows to my outfits. So the students at my school, like the other kids, didn't understand, like, what's going on with your hair? Like, why do you have all these colorful, like, barrettes and stuff in your hair? Like, are you a little kid? Why do you? So I used to get teased for that all the time. And then I'll never forget when I finally did get a relaxer. At the time, it was like my best friend, who was, again, a Wahite girl. When I came into class, she said, oh my God, I really love your hair. I was really sick of all the barrettes and the bows in your hair. This makes you look so much better. And I just remember sitting there and giving like that fake smile, but deep down dying inside. Because it's just like, girl, I mean, I feel like that also has to do with like culture, like just black and white, and not understanding like I don't have the same hair as you. You wash your hair every day. I can't. Like, there's a whole difference in how my hair operates and how your hair operates. Let alone, like, my mom didn't want to perm my hair until I was, like, at a well enough age. And I think it just has to do with the fact of, like, the black community and Haitian community feeling like having straight hair meant you were grown, which I feel like is a really weird thought process to have. Because how does a hairstyle make you grown? Putting weave in a child's hair, sure, but straightening a hair, I don't know how that makes you grown. I mean, now looking back that I'm not like I've gone back to being natural. I wish she didn't relax my hair, but I also understand like the knowledge of the natural hair community that we have now wasn't available back then. And so having relaxed hair seemed to be more manageable, but it is what it is. But I just remember being like made fun of for like everything. Even my parents' accents were made fun of. I had a kid call my house one day because I think we were doing like a class assignment. So they needed to call me so we could work on it together. They called my house and my dad picked up. My dad has a very thick Haitian accent. But the next day, this kid was going around saying, "Oh, your dad sounds like Mufasa. Your dad sounds like Mufasa. I was so scared." And I'm just like, the ignorance. Like, it's the ignorance for me. He was like, "Oh, I was so scared when your dad picked up the phone because I thought it was Mufasa on the other line. I thought it was Mufasa who picked up the phone." Bruh, what? So you trying to say my dad sounds like James Earl Jones? Like, what are you saying? I don't understand. So I feel like that was like really the bad part, was like growing up in the 90s and there just being this and I feel like it just had to do with ignorance overall. Because I talked about in my last episode about how the teachers weren't really accommodating when it came to me being a daughter of immigrant parents, and therefore that meant English was not my primary language that I learned at home. And so they treated my parents a certain way because of it. Calling them, telling them, "Oh, you need to speak English when you talk to your child because we can't help them." They're kind of intermingled in being both ugly and bad, because I just grew up dealing with that type of, ridicule every day. I'm a Haitian kid, I'm different. Having to deal with that while living in suburbia. Like, I already had to deal with being a black kid in suburbia, but then to have to be a Haitian American kid in suburbia was like a double whammy, essentially. So that's like probably the first bad thing I can recall of struggling, because I went from living around other Haitians when I was really young to moving to like white suburbia. I didn't initially grow up around all Wahite kids. I initially grew up around predominantly black Haitian kids, and then my parents moved when my dad became a pastor, and most of my memories from like middle school all the way to halfway through high school, I was surrounded by Wahite kids. And that entire time, once they learned I was Haitian, and even when I got older, I still get the terrible jokes. When Bad Boys 2 came out and they had that terrible scene with the fake Haitians, I would have people, when I told people I was Haitian, they were like that was just a terrible scene. Or you get people that ask you all the time, "Do you know how to do voodoo?" Or "Do your parents eat, some random animal?" or whatever. It's just always met with something ignorant. "Oh, you're Haitian?" Or, "Do you speak Haitian?" "No." "Do you speak American?" Like, it's stupid things like that I get met with when people hear or learn that I'm Haitian. That's what I don't like. Or, "Oh, do you know Wyclef?" Bruh, what? Like, that's probably my favorite. Is the top two I always get when people hear that I'm Haitian is, number one, "Do you know how to do voodoo?" Number two, "Do you know Wyclef?" which I would never answer number one because I'm not about to speak on my family ancestry. I used to answer that question as no until I learned a little bit about my family history, so I'm not going to answer that question anymore. I'm not going to say it's a yes, but I'm not going to say no either. I've just learned to respect my family history when it comes to voodoo, and I just think it's very ignorant because I feel like people only ask if you know how to do voodoo because they expect you to be able to do things for them, like, oh, can you turn me to a cat or turn you to a goat or whatever. And then number two, like, because the only Haitian person that most people know is Wyclef. So they come to you and be like, oh, do you know Wyclef? And it's just like, no. And there's plenty of other Haitian people, Haitian celebrities, like Maxwell's Haitian. He's half Haitian. It's like, nobody ever asked me, do I know Maxwell? That man's my uncle in my mind, but nobody ever asked me if I know Maxwell. Nobody had never asked me if I know Garcelle Bouval. Nobody ever asked me. She could be my aunt. She could be my cousin. Nobody ever asked me if I know. And Garcelle, aka Fancy from Jamie Foxx. Nobody ever asked me if I know Garcelle Bouval. No one. There's a lot of Haitian celebrities that people just don't know. Like, they either don't know or don't pay attention. But nobody ever asked me. I mean, please don't ask me if I'm related to Kodak Black, because he's Haitian, but I don't claim him. There are a lot of Haitian people who claim him, but I don't claim that man, because he doesn't appreciate dark-skinned women. I don't understand how you're black and you're a colorist, but when you're Haitian and colorist, I really can't. I can't mess with you. So we're gonna move on from that. My next bad thing, I don't know what it is about Caribbean people or Caribbean men in general being cheap. Like, just being mad cheap, okay? And when I say cheap, I mean, like, you know, most of my listeners, I'm going to assume, are in their 30s. Think about when you were getting ready for school, and we're talking about like middle school, high school. You're doing your back to school shopping. Think about where your parents took you to do back to school shopping. Maybe you went to the mall, or maybe you went to a specialty store. I don't know, Macy's, JCPenney, Sears, Value City. Yeah, Value City used to be lit back in the day. Burlington Coat Factory. I don't know. Think about just wherever your parents used to take you to do back to school shopping. You want to know where my parents took me back to school shopping? Actually, correction. My father. You want to know where my father took me back to school shopping? The flea market. My dad would take us to the Timache, aka the flea market. I wish I was lying, but my father would take us on a couple of Saturdays in the summer. There's one, if you're from Jersey, you will know this flea market, Cowtown. He would take us to Cowtown, and it's a huge flea market in Jersey. At least like South Jersey, anyway. We would go up there, and my dad was a bargainer. He would bargain and buy like sneakers for us and things like that. My dad would buy, just whatever. And then like the school supplies, there was a store. It's not, again, this might be a regional store, but there was a store called Big Lots. My dad would buy the school supplies from Big Lots, like the notebooks. And I was a stickler for college ruled notebooks. I was a stickler. I wanted the 5-star notebooks. Like, that was like the it notebook to have. I'm telling my age right now. The it notebooks to have was the 5-star college rule. And they came in the different colors. They came in burgundy. They came in blue. They came in green. They came in red. They came in different colors. My dad would not get me the 5-star notebooks. He would get me these like $1.50, $2 notebooks from like Big Lots, sometimes Walmart if he was feeling, if you wanted to add a little razzle dazzle. And it was always wide ruled. And that used to piss me off. Why is it wide rule? I know that's petty, but I hate wide rule notebooks. I hate them. And I'm a stationary hoe. I love a good notebook. I collect notebooks. I collect journals. I collect pens. I love a good pen. I love a good pen. I just discovered the little Sharpie pens that write so smooth. Like, I'm big on stationaries and notebooks and all those things. So when he will buy the wide rule notebooks, it would irk my entire soul. Why you do this? Why you do this? Why you do these things? Like, my dad used to do that. And then back in the day as well, again, telling my age, you used to have to cover your books. So you used to have to buy a book cover, to maintain the integrity of your textbooks. So again, I would see the students, like my other students would have like X-Men and Superman and all of these because their parents used to go out and buy it. My dad would take. I'm laughing about this because I'm traumatized. We used to go to this grocery store called ShopRite in Acme. My dad would take the brown paper bag and he would take it and use that to cover our books. Or, because he was a teacher, every once in a while, like if he had extra from like another student, he would bring it home and cover it, like give it to us to cover our books. But my dad rarely bought book covers. We would have the brown paper bag covers. Like, I think there was only one year I had like an X-Men cover because I really wanted X-Men because Storm is my favorite. But for the most part, my dad, either if it was donated or left over from the school, he would give it to us and we'd be like, okay, cool. But other than that, no. And then we would also go shopping for our shoes at Payless. Payless was where we went often for our shoes. Again, I've already explained that I used to get made fun of regularly at school for being Haitian, for being a black kid. I'll never forget, one year my dad bought me these shoes from the flea market. They said BK on them. I don't know what brand this was, because my dad used to buy like random brands, like I think even Jordache. I don't even know the brand, like if these brands were popular, but I remember there was a shoe that my dad bought and on the side it said BK. And the man told my dad it was a brand called Black Knight. Child, I went to school with those shoes on. The kids said I had on. I'm sorry, I gotta laugh at myself. I gotta laugh to keep from crying. The kids said I had on Burger King shoes. They said, yo, she got on Burger King shoes. And they never let me let it down. They never let me get away with those shoes. I wore those shoes in shame. Every time I had those shoes on, they said, yo, she wearing the Burger King shoes. Do you understand the humiliation I felt in the 6th and 7th grade? I think this was mainly like 5th and 6th grade. Mind you, I'm the tallest girl in my class. I'm Haitian. I'm black. And I was getting roasted by both black kids and Wahite kids. Do you understand the childhood trauma I went through? Like, my dad was cheap. You want to know how cheap? Another example? Again, this is like Jersey specific. So if you're not from Jersey, some of these like references or places may not make sense to you. But in Jersey, there's an amusement park called Six Flags. Okay? Honestly, probably the only amusement park. Well, I can't say the only amusement park. I've been to others in like Virginia. But went to Six Flags. The only time we went to Six Flags was, I think, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Coca-Cola was doing this promotion where if you collected so many cans, you got, I think, either a certain discounted price off of tickets, or percentage off of tickets. I can't remember. I want to say it was like money off of the tickets. Like if you collected this many amount of cans, they gave you I don't know the dollar amount, but I think it was like you get X amount of dollars off of your ticket. I'll never forget the amount of Coca-Cola cans that piled up in our house just so we would go to Six Flags. I'm not gonna lie, I appreciate the dedication that my father went through, but that was the only way we were going to Six Flags. If he didn't collect those cans, we wasn't going because he wasn't spending his money to take us to no Six Flags. We rarely did like family vacations. Family vacations wasn't a thing in my childhood. I knew friends who, and again, maybe there were other Haitian families, they did regular vacations, but I want to be clear. When I say vacations, I mean vacations that isn't going back to Haiti, because that's something that Haitians love to do. They're like, oh, I'm going on vacation, but they're going back to Haiti. I don't really consider that a vacation. You're just going back home. Like you're just going back home. You're not really taking a vacation. So I didn't know too many Haitian like families that took vacations. And so therefore my family didn't really take a lot of vacations. So when we went to Six Flags, we only went when my dad would collect those Coca-Cola cans. And we would have this bin in the garage where it was literally empty Coca-Cola cans. And my dad would collect them and he would return them wherever he was supposed to and come back, and that's how we were going to Six Flags. And we would go, I would say every couple of years. Like we didn't go often. And so we would go like I would say like once every 2-3 years we went, but I probably went to Six Flags maybe two or three times in my life as a child. And then the only other vacation I remember after that, like we went to Disney World once, which was pretty nice. It was pretty nice. My dad doesn't do rides, so he didn't ride any of the rides. Like he just kind of sat. Like his whole thing was, I pay for this trip. That's enough for me. I pay for this trip. But he doesn't do rides. And then after that, my parents, I think like kind of just segueing into another bad thing is, like I said, vacations. My parents didn't do vacations. Like they just worked hard all the time, that they didn't necessarily enjoy the fruit of their labor. They were kind of like, oh, I need to work hard so I can retire. I need to work hard so I can make sure there's food on the table, clothes on our backs, and I can make sure my kids get through school. But they never just enjoy the fruits of their labor, and that includes like being able to just relax and vacation. There was only a certain stint of time that I remember my parents actively taking vacation, and that was because there was another Haitian couple. They were going on cruises often, and I think the problem is my parents had this mindset that vacations in general are hella expensive. So my sister and I will talk about, oh, we want to go to Italy, or we want to go to Greece, or we want to go to the Bahamas. And my parents have this mindset that it's a Wahite vacation, aka like it's mad expensive. And the reality is like, no, it's not. Which is why I love seeing now, especially on Instagram and other like online and things like that, seeing Black people go on vacation and seeing solo traveling, seeing like luxurious travels and all of that, normalizing Black people going on vacations and seeing the world. Because I think for too long that was a mentality that Black people don't go to Greece, Black people don't go to the, like, I think for us, it was like the furthest we may go is like Miami or Cancun or Tulum. But to see, oh, a Black person went to London for vacation, or they went to Italy, they went to Dubai for their birthday, they went to Australia, they went to Thailand or Vietnam. I think that is amazing. And I think it opens up the world for the rest of us to see like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it too. And I think that's what happened when my parents saw that another Haitian couple was going on cruises, and they showed them how affordable it was, and that they weren't making payments in lump sums, they were making them in installments. So my parents, for, I want to say, maybe 2016 to 2019, or maybe a little bit earlier than that. I'm really not sure because I was in college at this time, but they were going on cruises for quite a bit of time. And I was both happy and jealous because it's just like, oh, now y'all want to take vacations and now y'all want to leave me behind. I'm stuck in school and y'all want to go to St. Martin, y'all want to go to St. Thomas, y'all want to go to Puerto Rico. So yeah, my parents were like going to like different islands, and I was just like, you know what? Go ahead with y'all bad selves. Y'all deserve it. Y'all worked hard. You should be taking vacations and enjoying yourselves. But then I don't remember what happened. They just, it just stopped. So they haven't taken a vacation since then, unfortunately. And obviously then the pandemic and everything else. So, but other than that, like, a bad thing is just like vacations just aren't a norm. Haitians just have it in them to, like Rihanna says, work, 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 work. Like that's all they do. They come into America, they come into the country, and their mindset is like, I just need to work to create a better life. They save for themselves and for future generations, but they don't, again, enjoy the fruits of their labor. And if they do have a goal in mind, it's like, oh, I'm going to retire and go back to Haiti. But it's like, you didn't get to enjoy anything. You didn't get to enjoy your life right now. It's like you can't enjoy your life until once you're retired. But a lot of the time, like, you done worked yourself to the bone that you can't even enjoy your retirement. So, I don't know. I think that's just always been something that's kind of been bad. And I think now for me being at my age and my mom sees me and I'm willing to create a balance in my life, or at least the best that I can, because I don't believe in balance. I don't think there's really a way to create a real sense of balance. I think you just have to navigate through life the best way that you can. I'm like, look, I'm going to work hard, but I'm also going to be like, look, if I can save some money and go to Bali, I'm going to Bali. If I can, like my sister and I were looking at ways to get a Airbnb that was on the water in Italy. We're going to enjoy the life that we have right now because tomorrow's not promised. Yeah, you can work until retirement, but who says you're going to see retirement? Like, again, a big lesson I've learned through COVID and this Panasonic is that we may not have tomorrow. Life is too precious. Life is too short. I'm not necessarily one to just throw all caution to the wind, but I'm also not going to be sitting here thinking that I have tomorrow to wait either. So I feel like for me, deciding like I'm going to move to another country. I'm not going to wait till I get married or wait till I have a kid to do that and then decide I want to live out my life and live my dream. No, I'm going to do that right now because I don't want to be 60 and 70 and 80 and have all these shoulda, coulda, wouldas that are in my mind because I just wanted to focus on the grind and focus on the hustle and not also enjoy what I'm hustling for, what I'm grinding for. Because, like I said, my parents don't vacation. I think the farthest they've ever been outside of like the cruise again is I remember one of their anniversaries, they went to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. What's in Lancaster? Like, I think it's Amish country. Like, I think it's an Amish county. Like, you might get some good chicken, some good fried chicken, because them Amish people know how to make some good fried chicken. I'm not even going to hold you. Them Amish people put their foot in that fried chicken. I think they are the only Wahite people that I will trust with some fried chicken. Trust with food in general. They got to be the only people that probably clean their meat and season their meat and all that. Because I remember in school we took a trip to Amish County and that food was banging. Okay? That John was the best fried chicken, the best biscuits, the best mashed potatoes. Like, the food was rocking. That's probably the only Wahite people I probably like their food. I would eat their food regularly because I don't know what they do, but that food be right. That's just a sidebar that I wanted to put in there. But other than that, ain't nothing in Lancaster. And my mom even said, like, yeah, it was pretty boring. I bet it was. I bet it was. So they don't be taking vacations. So I don't know. Like, that's just kind of, it's sad for me, but again, I love the fact that we're shifting out of that and we're starting to take ownership of self-care and learning that vacations and rest and vacation and rest are important and necessary. So I love that fact. Another bad thing, I touched upon it in the ugly and talking about like how the sons can be revered as like kings and things like that. But I talked about like the careers, in terms of like, oh, my son is a doctor, my son is a lawyer, my son is he's an avocat, he's an engineer. But honestly though, those are the only careers Haitians acknowledge. If you're not a doctor, if you're not an avocat, which is a lawyer in English, if you're not an engineer, you're poor in the eyes of a Haitian family. You have no money. Cob, like nothing. Like they don't acknowledge any other career. You could be a chef at a Michelin star restaurant. They don't care. You're not a doctor. Like I really just want to put into perspective. They don't care. My sister and I are a prime example. I have a degree in entertainment business. My parents tell people I do music. I work in music, which to Haitians sound like I be out in these streets busking. I be out here in the streets with a tin cup or a hat or a guitar case, playing music, begging people to drop tuppence or pennies, and can I have some change, as I play my, strumming my pain with his fingers. Like that's literally how my parents make it sound like for me, because they're like, oh, she does music. When I have a whole degree in entertainment business with a minor business marketing, that doesn't compute. Like they tell people I do music. If you don't have those careers, because for them, being a doctor or a nurse, anything in the medical field, honestly, or being a lawyer or being an engineer, those equate to money, right? If you work in those fields, you make money. Making money means you're well taken care of. It means you can take care of your family. It means you can take care of your parents. It means you can also send money back home to your family in Haiti and make sure they're well taken care of. So that's kind of the mentality behind it, because if you're thinking about your Haitian immigrant parents, they came to America and probably couldn't get those types of jobs. They couldn't be doctors, they couldn't be lawyers, they couldn't be engineers because they don't have the education. They don't have the knowledge, they couldn't get into college. Therefore, they're putting all those hopes and dreams on you as their child to do such things. And when you don't follow the said American dream, you are, for a lack of a better word, a failure. And so when you tell them you're going to do, like, God forbid, don't even tell them you're going to be a content creator. What is that? Like, what is that? You're going to be eating, ramen noodles every day? What is that? They're just going to be like, oh, so you're trying to play on TikTok all day? No. Like, that's not how it's going to work. Parents literally only think about jobs that provide the most money. And even if you tell them, like I said, you could be like, oh, I just got a job as the lead chef at a Michelin star restaurant. They will tell you, oh, I just saw a job posting for being a nurse. It makes X amount of dollars an hour. Or you can get your or they'll tell you like, oh, I just saw this thing online where you can get your certification to be a nurse's aide or this, that, and the third. I cannot tell you how many times my mother has told me that herself. I've been looking for work and, working for a record label or interning this, that, and the third. And the amount of times my mom has told me, oh, well, I've seen like you could be a nurse's tech or you could be this, that, and the third. And I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with the medical field. And don't get me wrong. Shout out to everyone who's a nurse, a doctor, or in the medical field, especially the work y'all put in these past 2 years dealing with COVID and the strain and the stress and the mental exhaustion y'all have experienced. God bless y'all. I don't take that away from y'all. But that's not my ministry. I don't have a heart for that. It's not my ministry. And I've made that very clear. But she don't care. She don't care. I think the only thing for me, I probably would, like, if I could go back in time, is I probably would have been a music engineer because I love, like, watching producers make music. So I probably would have went that route as far as switching gears in my degree. But hindsight is 2020 vision. I can't do anything about that now. So that's probably the only thing career-wise I would have changed about my life, and the fact that I still wish I would have studied abroad. Those are probably the only two things career-wise I would have changed. Is one, studying abroad, and two, probably going the music engineer production route versus marketing and business, because I feel like I could have added those later in life. But yeah, child, if you not in the medical field, if you're not lawyer, anything like that, they basically see you as like living in poverty. Like, for lack of better words, you are living in poverty and they do not see how you're going to manage to take care of yourself. And it's sad because there are so many other jobs and so many other career fields that honestly make more money than those. And you could be pretty well off. But to Haitian people, they don't acknowledge those careers. And I feel like for them, they don't really acknowledge it until they start seeing, again, the fruits of your labor. Until they start seeing you buy the nice house, buy the nice car, or they see you spending money on them and giving them the nice house or taking them on shopping sprees. That's when they start realizing, like, oh, they do have a nice job. And then that's when they want to start bragging on you. Like, oh, my daughter is this and my son is this. That's when they'll start bragging on you. But until the dollar signs start coming in and they see you start spending that bread, they really don't acknowledge the career that you do. And I feel like that's just sad. Like, I shouldn't have to splurge for you to recognize that I'm doing what I want to do. Like, unfortunately, Haitians don't have this mentality that people just want to pursue their dreams and pursue their goals and pursue like what they're meant to do in life. And it shouldn't have to be about, chasing the bag all the time. But I think that just has to do with, like, unfortunately, like the Haitian culture, the Haitian community is like where we come from. We're trying to be better, but I feel like at the same time, they want us to move forward, but at the same time, it's hindering us. Because you stifle your child's dreams and hopes because you think that this is the only way that they could be fulfilled and this is the only way we think that they can live their best life. Because yes, I've seen some people on social media, like they're content creators, they're both nurses, but they also do what they want to do on the side because they use the paycheck they do as a nurse to support their side hustle. But for some people, that's not the route they want to take. And I feel like this generation, like my generation and the generation after mine, are the ones that are changing the narrative. Like, we're following our dreams and we're not ashamed about it. We're basically doing what we want to do with our life. There's like two more bad things I want to cover and then we're going to wrap it up. The one is, why do y'all do this? Why do y'all do this? I think this is also a universal thing, like in the African American community and other like cultures. Why y'all be comparing us to other kids? So segueing from the career, talking about like, oh, if you're not a doctor, if you're not a nurse, the other part of it that kind of segues from that to the next bad thing is like your parents will compare you to someone else's kid. So, for example, me, I have a degree in entertainment business, and there is another family that my parents are close to. Their son is a music engineer, and they actually happen to be pretty well known. Like, they've produced music for some pretty well known artists like her, and some, I think, Ella May as well, like other artists, like well known artists. And so, my mom was like, oh, well, why didn't you decide to be like a music engineer like so-and-so's son? Or you should reach out to so-and-so's son and see if they can give you a job because things aren't working out for you. And it's just like, bruh, first of all, what makes you think that so-and-so wants to talk to me anyway? And why are you comparing me to so-and-so's son? Like, what do we have in common? And unfortunately, that's like another bad thing is like Haitians will compare you to someone else's child. Oh, didn't you see Santel's daughter? She cooks and she cleans. She's got this great job and she just bought her mom a new car. I wish you would do those things for me. And it's just like, okay, but her daughter could equally have flaws and things that we don't know about, but because her mom only brags about the good things, you think that her daughter is this amazing person. You only get the snapshot of the good things. You don't know. Maybe her daughter, badmouths her or, is miserable in the job that she is. Like, you don't know those things. But unfortunately, Haitians just love to compare you to other people. Like, I remember, I wouldn't do well in math. Like, math was a very difficult subject for me as a kid. I struggled. When it comes to that money, I never struggle. I know everything down to the penny. But when it comes to algebra and pre-calc and all, why? Why do I gotta deal with invisible numbers? It's invisible. It doesn't exist. At my big age, I still have not used the Pythagorean theorem. I don't understand math. It's just never been something that I cared for. So my father specifically, my mom too, I think both my parents, honestly, they would just compare me to other kids, other Haitian kids who, they do really well in math and they're so smart and this, that, and the third. It's just like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this information? Comparing me to someone else doesn't boost my self-esteem. It doesn't make me want to be better at math just because Peterson is good at math. And yes, I use Peterson because for whatever reason, Haitian people like to take biblical names and add son on the name. So they'll take, Peter's son or Samuel's son or Deacon's son. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is about those names, but yeah, so that's just something that's really, really common in Haitian names. And Jean is another Haitian really popular name, but we're going to use Peterson. But yeah, they'll compare you to Peterson saying, oh, Peterson's so smart in math. He gets A's in math. And I'm like, okay. And what am I supposed to do with that? Peterson sucks at history and I do really well in history. You're not about to compare him to me, are you? No, you're not. That's where the double standard just doesn't flow for me. But they will compare you. Or they'll tell you, oh, Peterson is a good kid. He's very polite to his mom. He helps his mom with the cleaning. He drives his parents around and takes his mom to here and there. And I'm like, okay, does Peterson want a cookie? Does Peterson want a gold star? I just want to know what the benefit is in this for me. You comparing me to Peterson, or if we're going to talk about, Natalie, if you want to compare me to Natalie, who cooks and cleans with her mom, okay, and she's miserable. I don't care. That's where it kind of gets irky. It's just they want to compare you to other people's kids. Like, it's supposed to make you want to all of a sudden be a better kid just because Natalie and Peterson are somehow good kids. Okay, good for them and good for their parents. It ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, if you don't do well in math or if you don't know how to cook and clean like Natalie, then you're not going to get married. You're not going to be able to find you a good husband. And that is going to be my last point about the bad in living my life as Haitian, is that every single thing that you do has to do with you getting married. It's like, if you can't cook, you're not going to get married. If you can't clean, nobody's going to want to marry you. It's like you have no value. Especially as a woman. There are some things as far as men, if men are single at a certain point, the Haitian moms get on them like, You're not going to give me any grandkids. That type of mentality. Like, they see other Haitian families and they're like, oh, they see other families that are that are having grandkids, and then they look at their own sons and they're like, oh, so you're not going to give me any grandkids and things like that type of mentality. But I feel like it's worse, as always, for the women. I actually just had this conversation today with my own mom. I was telling her about the hot air balloon trip, telling her how it was a lot of fun, I enjoyed myself, and she turns to me and she goes, oh, that's great. Did you make any love connection? You heard everything that I said, and the only thing you focused on was, did I make a love connection? That's literally the only thing she focuses on. Every time I tell her I meet a friend, oh, was it a man? Oh, it was a girl? Ask her if she has any single friends for you to meet. And it's just like, I don't care about that. But for her, that's what she cares about. She cares about me getting married, and not just getting married, but that I marry a rich man. And my response to her every time is, I'm trying to be a rich man. I'm trying to be a rich man. But her mentality is, I just don't want to leave this world and you be by yourself and you not being married, and taken care of. And my response to her is, I have my sister. I have my friends. If you're worried about, oh, I don't want to leave this earth without me being the care of some man, child, please. Because some of these men out here, I'd be scared. I'd be straight scared. I seen a video of a woman the other day. She was feeding her baby and she was falling asleep. And the man was recording her and talking about look at this girl, she sleep. And shook her awake. Talking about what are you doing? What are you doing? Instead of just taking the baby out of her arms, taking the bottle and saying, hey babe, you're falling asleep. Get some rest. I'll finish feeding the baby. Don't worry about it. And you talking about you don't want to leave this earth until I'm taken care of by a man? Bakabab. I understand the sentiments, but there's a lot more things I care about than being taken care of by a man. And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I do want to be married. I do want to have a family. But I can't be out here in these streets every time I want to go out and have a good time. I'm thinking about, is this the day that I meet that special someone? I can't have that stress. I can't have that worry. I talked about it in my live on Instagram. I don't fit the desirability of today's standards. And with the Kevin Samuels Goonies, we are falling far away from God's design of how men and women are supposed to be. Men keep talking about they want a traditional woman and what we bring to the table, but y'all not trying to be traditional men. You're angry at us for getting education and making more money, but you're not even trying to step up to the plate to meet us where we are. I'm not even going to get on that soapbox. But yeah, it just it's very disheartening that it feels like as a woman you don't have any value outside of being attached to a man or being married to a man. And I know that she doesn't necessarily mean it in that way, but it comes across like that whenever, I talk about, oh, I'm going out, I'm going to go on a picnic. And she's like, oh, are you going with a guy, or who are you going with? And I'm like, oh, I'm going by myself, or going with a friend. And she's more inquiring about if there's going to be a male presence there. And it's just like, I'm not thinking about none of that. And I can't think about none of that, because if I think about all of those things, it becomes depressing and it becomes saddening, because I have to reckon with the fact that, again, I know I'm attractive. I know I'm a catch. I know I'm the whole package. But when it comes to today's society, I'm a whole cooked meal in a microwave world. And that's just my reality. Not everybody wants a home cooked meal. They just want microwavable meals. And I don't fit that. I don't fit the bill. And I have to be comfortable with that. I know a lot of great women in my life who, they should have been married. They should have found their husband. And they're single. And I have to come to the grips that I could be one of them. I pray I'm not, but I don't know. So it's just really difficult to hear often that, or feel like you don't have any value or have any worth as a woman outside of your proximity to a man. I've already talked about in the last episode how, I was already told that at my big age, I'm basically going to be somebody's boozing, because if I'm not married at this age, then, the window of being married are getting smaller and smaller. And I can't lie, I do feel like that, but I refuse to be somebody's boozing and somebody's side woman. But it's just like, I'm in the season where I'm learning to love on myself, because again, growing up Haitian, that's not something you're taught. That's not something you learn. You're taught to pour of yourself constantly. And again, this applies, I'm sure, to other cultures, but I just grew up pouring of myself constantly. I'm in the season where I'm pouring into myself. I'm pouring into myself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Learning to love on me, because if I can't love on me, I can't expect a man to come in here and cater to me and love on me, and I don't know how to love myself. I can't expect a person to give me my 5 love languages, and I don't know how to give myself the 5 love languages. I feel like for me, unfortunately, that's just a really bad part of dealing with the Haitian culture, is that, like, if you're not married, you're just kind of seen like strange. And what's terrible is, like, it's doubly worse here in Korea, because couple culture is like, it's ridiculous here. So to deal with that and then to be immersed in a couple's culture, it's a lot of stress. And I'm reminded every day, like, yes, I'm single. I know that. I don't need the reminder every day. I just wish that my mom specifically would understand that I'm doing my best with what I have. One of these days, there'll be a man who appreciates a home-cooked meal. One of these days, I'll meet a man who, hand doesn't buckle when he's holding my crown. And that's just what it'll be. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up. As always, I thank you guys for listening to today's episode. Again, if you want to chat with me, talk with me, comment on today's episode or any of my past episodes, you know where to find me. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. My handle is Shameless Listo on all of the platforms. That's ShamelessListo. And also, please rate my podcast on Podchaser. Please, please, please. It does me a great service as a small content creator if you rate and leave a review. I will make sure to leave a link in the episode notes, or you can find a link in my bio in any of my social pages. So please leave me a review and follow me on all of my pages. But until then, your girl is off her soapbox, and I will see ya.